Hey guys, welcome back to 1v1. I'm your host Vlhadus, and I am joined by the one and the only Luto. How's it going,
Hey,
man?
it's going good. It's going
Dude,
good.
and it's so funny because we've never talked directly yet. We talked
Not
for
really. No, no.
we talked for a little bit, with Birdie Discussion, which now I'm an honorary member now, thank God.
Yep. Yep.
And but we never talked, just me and you, one on one, about gaming, about Ashes, and I know you are definitely on the Ashes train just like I am.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, but before we get into the whole Ashes talk, I do want to just talk a little bit about you, right? So I always ask here on 1v1, I want to get to know the creator, right? Because you have a YouTube channel, you make content for Ashes of Creation.
Yeah. Well.
You're also,
Yeah.
you do. I mean, right now,
I haven't made a video in a little bit. I've been working on other things.
no, for sure. I mean, but right now we're also, doing Birdie Discussion as a podcast.
Right.
So
Right.
you are
Yep.
doing that still. But again, right now it is sort of a lull period for Ashes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's hard to make content for Ashes because there's not really much other than speculation. There's not much to talk about. I mean, and I feel like all of the speculations based on the little bit of facts that we've had, and we've been milking that cow for almost 2 years now, with little specks of information. Unreal 5 was cool when they announced it, but I mean, does it really deserve a YouTube video? You could just tweet it. I don't know.
No, well, and again, we're definitely going to go over all the Ashes stuff.
Yeah.
I love talking Ashes with people.
Oh, me
creators.
too. Me too.
So, but again, so how long have you been gaming, man? Like, how long have you been a gamer?
Oh my God. I started when I was like 5, so
A lot of us did.
33 years.
Yeah.
So.
And so I'm guessing Nintendo, Super Mario, Duck Hunt.
Yes. Yes. Yep. The
Battletoads.
classic NES. Yep. Battletoads and Double Dragons on the Super NES.
God.
That was
Contra,
pretty cool.
Dude.
Yep.
That was my jam, man.
I really like. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I really didn't consider myself a gamer at 5. I mean, I did play the Mario Brothers stuff, but I mean, I really didn't get into gaming where I actually actively looked forward to sitting down and playing a game until probably when I was I want to say it was 10 or 11. I got my hands on Final Fantasy 2, which the Japanese version was Final Fantasy 4, but in the US it was Final Fantasy 2.
That was Super Nintendo.
That was yes, that was Super Nintendo. Yeah. And that was the first RPG I had ever played. And I was hooked. At the time I was reading choose your own adventure books, which to me, the RPG genre was kind of the same. I mean, you still had that linear story to follow, but it told a story. It was more than Mario and saving the princess, or later on Sonic and getting all the rings. There was more of a story, and it just hooked me. And after finding Final Fantasy 2 and playing and beating that, I went back and played Mystic Quest, which was Final Fantasy 1. And then I found and then I found Lufia 2, and then Final Fantasy 3, and I was hooked on the Final Fantasy series. There was Chrono Cross, Chrono Trigger, all the good classics. And I think that's really what started me into gaming. So the RPGs were kind of what I played the most in terms of gaming. And then it was a natural progression from playing a single player RPG, Final Fantasy X, to then playing their next installment, which was Final Fantasy XI, and that was online. So that
was my first MMO. Was
Final Fantasy XI. Man! My God!
My very first experience in the MMO genre was Final Fantasy XI. We'll talk about that a little later because holy God,
I could talk for hours just for that game, man.
Oh no,
I love 11. That was I was hooked.
Many
for
people did,
years,
except me. No, I'm just joking. And again, we'll talk about all that. But so it's so weird, right? Because in my middle school, I mean, man, it was Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 10. Because again, all of like the fighting games, like you had like Super Smash Brothers on the N64,
Tekken.
you had Tekken, you had Killer Instinct, you had, you know, just
Oh my god. Remember
like,
the Killer Instinct bundle?
oh dude,
Yeah.
Killer Instinct Gold. I played all the Killer Instincts. I love Killer Instinct. But in any fighting game, that only lasted you like a couple of days, if that. And that's if you maybe had like a brother or a friend that you could like versus with, or you beat the story. But RPGs, man, that's where the longevity, that's where the investment really, for me, like playing Final Fantasy 7, playing 8, playing 10 to me. So I played 7 and I was turned off by the graphics even way back then. Like,
really?
So yes. And so
when 7 came out, that was 1997. So I was 14, 15.
Yeah.
And I worked my ass off for that game. I'll tell you what, man. I live out in the sticks, or I did then. And we lived next to a campground. And I asked my dad, I'm like, hey, Dad, can I use your chainsaw and an axe and sell campfire wood? And he was like a little reluctant, you know, and he's like, well, I'll use the chainsaw and you can split the wood. I'm like, all right. So I had blisters on my hands from splitting firewood and selling it to campers so that I could buy my PlayStation, my PS1, to then be able to buy Final Fantasy 7 on release day. And I tell you what, dude, it hurt to hold that controller with my blistered hands, but it was so worth it. Like that game, I loved it. And the graphics, like you mentioned how they turned you off. I came from playing Final Fantasy 3 to 7 because that was the next installment for us in the US. So from Final Fantasy 3, the little sprites, to seeing a full polygon 3D character, that was huge.
No. So let me reiterate before I get all this hate, you know, on the
okay.
So I did not play Final Fantasy 7 until I played 10. So I went from Final Fantasy 10, right? And the revolutionary game that was, to then trying out 7 and then 8. And so, you know, because I wasn't in the whole hype. So in 1996, I was still playing N64. So, you know, I was still in that, you know, genre. I didn't get into a PlayStation 1 game. Like, I didn't actually own a PlayStation until probably like 1997 for that Christmas, if not 1998. And then I didn't even have the PlayStation for that long because I wanted the PlayStation 2 because that was coming out. Right. And I was like, you know, because I remember, oh my God, was that like 2000? That was like my 8th grade year going into high school. That was, I
think it was 2000 when it came out.
Right, 2000, 2001, when Final Fantasy X
around there.
Yeah, came out.
Because Final Fantasy 11 was also on the PlayStation 2, and that's where I was playing it online first, was with the PlayStation 2.
Wow. No, so for me, like and then because I played like Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1.
Yep.
Like I played a lot of different games on the PlayStation 1.
Crash Bandicoot, Jet Moto, Tekken, like
dude, all that stuff, man. Like I mean, being a gamer, right? Like it was just something, like I wasn't into sports. I wasn't into football, baseball, soccer. It didn't really interest me. And so being inside and playing video games, that's what did it for me, man. It's what it did for a lot of people, man. I mean, it's not saying that there weren't gamers that were also football players or, you know, into sports, but most of the time gamers are all just gamers. They don't do anything else. But so going into a little bit, so was Final Fantasy 11 your first MMO too? Was that your first like multiplayer online game?
Yes and no. Not my first one that I experienced, because I did play EverQuest for like 2 weeks because I was visiting my dad in Virginia, and he had EverQuest, and I hadn't played an MMO at that point yet, but they interested me. So I asked him, I'm like, well, can I make a character on your account? And he let me. So then I made a dark elf wizard. And I just remember that I was just shocked and amazed entering a world and seeing other people like talking and communicating with one another, and just you can go out and like kill things with these people. And I'm like, well, this is freaking amazing. Like, I've never done anything like this before. Like, my only other experience before that was having a LAN party and playing Diablo 2. And that was like
playing Halo.
Right. Or GoldenEye, you know.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started with that damn game, dude. That game ruined friendships for me. Like, oh, dude.
Yeah. So experiencing EverQuest and what it was, I'm like, I could get into this, but this would eat my life. Like, I'm in high school. I don't have the money or the time to invest in an MMO. So that was like my 10th grade year. So from that point on, I knew, I was like, the second that I can afford a PC and high-speed internet, I'm going to play EverQuest. But then it just so happened that Final Fantasy XI came out, and I didn't need a PC. I could play it on the PlayStation 2. I just had to get the add-on pack for the network, and that's what I did. And I played Final Fantasy XI for 4 or 5 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Did you play with friends, or did you just go and completely not knowing anybody? I
went in solo. I knew nobody for probably a month. It was probably a month. But then, because I'm telling my friends about how awesome this game is, I ended up with 12 people that I know locally that ended up playing on my server with me, just because I talked about that game nonstop. And then I got them to play, and they got into the world. And it was such a low barrier to entry that you could play on dial-up.
Oh, yeah.
And you could play with your PlayStation 2 that most people already had at the time, because that was the current console. So it was just, I think, really easy for people to get into. It's like, I think the game was like $80, and if you needed the network add-on, it was like 120 or something like that. It wasn't that expensive, really. I mean, for what you get, you know.
I remember getting the PC edition, right? So this was, originally I live in Texas. In 2006, I was in New Mexico, right? I was 18, 19, wanted to get away from mom and dad, moved away. And I was at work in a call center at that time. And one of my buddies at the call center was telling me about Final Fantasy XI. But this was also around the same time where I knew of World of Warcraft. I had one of my very good friends that played World of Warcraft, but I didn't have like a laptop or a computer or anything. So I remember my buddy Kenny that I lived with, he had a computer, and I downloaded World of Warcraft, never played it because I didn't have the subscription or whatever. Played Final Fantasy XI finally, and I can't remember if I got a laptop. I don't even remember. It's been so damn long. I played Final Fantasy for about a month. I went from level 1 to level 10 by myself. After level 10, you couldn't do anything by yourself anymore. You needed a group.
Right. Unless you're killing worms.
Which I did not. And so my buddy that I worked with, he was already like level 50 with like 2 different jobs. He was like max level. I think max level was 75, wasn't it? Like, I can't remember what the max level was. 75. It was 75, I think. Yeah. But no, he was way, way beyond me. Every single time that I would text him or I would call him and say, hey, are you online? He's like, oh, dude, like something came up. I can't play it. Just play without me. Like, you'll meet people. You'll meet people. Dude, I had the worst time trying to find just the absolute worst time trying to find just people. And then once I did find people, like, they never want to be friends with me. Like, they were already part of a friend group. Yeah, seriously, they're already part of a friend group. And I was like, oh, like I can play like at this time or whatever. And they're like, like,
oh man,
all right. It was tough. Like, I'm serious. And this is back in 2006. And so for me,
because in that game you needed friends. You could not solo. You needed each other, you know? Like, I had the exact opposite experience. Like I said, I went in and I didn't know anyone for the first at least month that I played. And by the time my my friends in real life were playing, I was already a part of a guild. I had made several friends in the game. I had not a static party, but I mean, I could get on and within 30 minutes have a full group ready to go. You know,
it was just, you know, for me, right? After playing Final Fantasy 11, there was XP loss, there was de-leveling. It was a very, dude. So
I miss it.
My quitting point, right? So I was in a group. I was level 30. I was a pugilist. I was trying to be a monk, right?
Yep.
I de-leveled in a group from 30 to 26. The guy kept on overpulling.
In one group?
In one group, in one sitting, in like 2 hours. Like, we were trying to do this thing. And the guy...
Dude, you should have left.
Dude, I didn't know. I was like, I don't even know what normal was, because there were so many groups that were so fractured. And looking at back now with all the knowledge that I have, I ran into the worst situation possible. Like, it was literally like, everyone's like, always like, oh my God, no, like you didn't. I ran into the worst people, the worst groups. Like, I wasn't even in a
30,
guild.
Were you in, oh God, no, I can't remember if it was 20 or 30 where you're at the Garliage Citadel outside Juneau.
So I remember Juneau, but I remember, oh my God, what do I remember?
The Citadel was like a crypt, and there were lower levels at top, and then level 50s would level down below. And if they got too much aggro, they would run out, and they had to run upstairs and then buy all the low level parties, pulling everything in the whole crypt, and then that would kill everyone when it went like back to their spawn.
Yeah, and so
that was a hard place to level in.
Yeah, so I don't remember where it was, but I just remember literally going from level 30 to level 26, and that was my quitting moment. That was like, I'm out, I'm done, because I know it took so long to level in that game.
Yeah,
especially
it took me a year to get to 75.
But here's the thing. So going in right now with like a not even a fresh perspective, but 16 years of MMO experience, which it's World of Warcraft, it's like baby gloves compared to Final Fantasy 11, really.
Well, wow, now I mean, Classic was not as hard as Final Fantasy, but it was definitely harder than it is now.
Oh, definitely. So, but Classic was still way more casual than Final Fantasy 11. There was no de-leveling, you didn't lose XP. I mean, the mobs were still tough. You know, it was still I think it was it was a better experience than what it is now. But to me, when I play Final Fantasy 11, right, having to group up with like all these people, and WoW, you could do pretty much everything by yourself. And I leveled as a hunter, so having a pet, and you know, being able to,
it was even easier.
Well, for sure. But there were certain times where you had to group up with people, but it was nowhere near as stressful or as strenuous as it was in Final Fantasy 11, because nothing was really on the line except for your time, right? But
see, I don't think I died much leveling in WoW because I played a rogue. So if shit hit the fan, just vanished and then hide and just wait for it to go away, and then you're fine. You know, I remember being out in Terran Mill. There was a lot of PvP out there back in the day.
Oh yeah,
before we had
South
the arenas. Yep, I was by Terran Mill, and I was leveling my Blood Elf rogue, and I think that area is like low 20s, and there were max level people out there. Alliance and Horde, there's this big battle, and I'm just like, I'm leveling out here, so they could just one-shot me. So I'm sitting there stealth up on this hill, just watching the battle, and I'm like, just taking it in. I was like, man, I can't wait until I'm max level and I can do the PvP thing. And then as I'm sitting there just taking it in, somebody got close enough to me to see me through my stealth because they were higher level, so then they killed me. I was like, wow. Oh my God. Yeah, it was great though.
So okay, so you played EverQuest, you played Final Fantasy 11. Final Fantasy 11 was your main MMO for 4 years. So what was
4 to 5 years, somewhere in there? Yeah.
Okay. So what was your quitting moment? What was was it even a quitting moment, or what happened?
I don't really know, honestly. Like, when I quit Final Fantasy 11, it wasn't a choice. Like, I didn't make the choice like I'm logging off and I'm never logging on again. It was more of a, hey, my friend who also plays Final Fantasy 11 is checking out this World of Warcraft over here. So I found someone else that I worked with who invited me over to their house to show me WoW. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know, so I went over to their house, showed me WoW. His dad played WoW. And like, it was crazy because his dad was like crunching numbers, like working stock markets, right, for the auction house. Like he was like watching prices and all this stuff, like leathers and like copper. And I'm like, holy crap, man, he's got like all the prices in Excel mapped out for the last 6 months. You know, he's just doing market analysis on it. Like, that's insane. And they're showing me WoW, and I'm like, well, the graphics are kind of cartoony. I don't think I can get into this, you know? And I didn't think that I was going to play WoW just because Final Fantasy 11 to me looked so much better. But then when a friend of mine said, hey, our other friend who's also playing 11 with us is now also playing WoW. You should really check it out. It's a lot of fun. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'll give it a shot because everybody I knew was talking about it. So, and there was Burning Crusade was coming out in a couple of months. So I said, you know what? I'll give it a shot. If I like it, there's a new expansion coming out and I can just play right along with that. So I picked it up and I made an alliance character. And I regretted it very much. No, I didn't know what server my friends were on. I didn't know if they were Horde or Alliance. So I was just like, I didn't know there was a choice at that time. I didn't know that, like, because in 11 you didn't have factions. Now in World of Warcraft you did. I didn't know that. I'm just like Horde or Alliance. Okay, so I can play this group of race or these races, and they didn't have blood elves at the time. So I was like, well, I'll just play a night elf because they look pretty cool. And I picked a druid, so I mean, shape-shifting sounded cool. And I had a lot of fun with my druid because, like, when Burning Crusade came out and you could get flying, and I got that flight form with the druid, I would run off of like cliffs, and people would be like trying to follow me, and then they would just die, and I would just like flight form away, or like, you know, because I played on a PvP server, so PvP in that game was a lot of fun out in open world, and just I don't know, I had so much fun with the druid. And like, you get in the water, you go into your seal form, you can swim away, or you can catch up to people, you know, or in bear form, you just don't die. Like, it was a lot of fun. Sure. But I enjoyed the cat form, the pharaoh form, the most, because I liked the stealth from it. And it was like the DPS spec. And I'm like, man, I just wish I could use cat form all the time, but everyone always wanted either healer or a tank from a druid. I'm like, I don't want to do that, you know? So then I was like, screw it. I'm gonna play a rogue because Blood Elves came out and I thought they looked really cool. So I re-rolled Blood Elf and I made a rogue and I was hooked. And then before I knew it, I realized I hadn't picked up Final Fantasy 11 in like a month, and I missed it. But I also knew I didn't have time for both games, so I had to pick one. And all of my friends were playing WoW, and I had a couple of friends still from 11, but they were Japanese, and it was really hard to like play at the same time of day as them, because with Final Fantasy 11, a really cool feature was their auto translate. Do you remember that at all?
Oh yes.
Yeah, I loved that because I worked third shift, so my gaming time was really early in the morning, which was really late at night for Japan. So I partied with a lot of Japanese players. Like, I could hold a conversation very easily with that auto chat or the translate.
Yeah.
So I don't, to answer your question, there was no clear distinction of, hey, I'm quitting Final Fantasy 11 for WoW. It just kind of naturally happened.
Yeah, I mean, so I can understand that because I mean, you already invested like 5 years of Final Fantasy in there, and for me, it was the same sort of thing. That, how can I put it? I left World of Warcraft July of 2021. I quit, and it was one of those things where I quit because all my friends weren't playing anymore. I had a group of friends from Cataclysm, one of the expansions, and we were all, that was the expansion for me where I met like my solid group of WoW friends, and from then on we all played together, And just as time went on and WoW just got worse and worse and worse, like friends started to drop off. And then now in Shadowlands, it was just me and one other person left. And I told her, I was like, I want to stay for you, but I just can't for my own mental health. Like, I don't enjoy the game. I'm literally...
It's kind of depressing, isn't it? I mean...
Oh, God, yes. It's so depressing.
No, there's a machinima. There's a music video machinima that someone made of World of Warcraft years ago. Like, I think this came out in, like, 2008 or 9. Back when machinima was, like, a new thing, right?
New thing, yeah.
And I think it was, like... called No Point in Stretching Time or something like that. I'll have to find it. I'll send you the link. But basically, the whole machinima is telling a story about a guy who's just like a low noob level character, leveling out, killing things by himself, and he meets another player, and the two of them go off on adventures together, and they level for a good 20 levels together, and then something happens where like they split off and he just rushes through to get max level, and he's just like grinding mobs and he's getting all this new gear. And then one day he's in Shatrath, which was the main town in Burning Crusade.
Yeah.
He's in Shat, and he comes across this girl that he leveled with like a long time ago, and it's just like he just like realized, I just spent so much time solo playing, grinding the gear, getting the levels as fast as I could, getting the gear as fast as I could, when I missed out on all the experiences of playing with another player. And it's like he's reminiscing, and the most fun that he had with the game was when he was playing with that other person. And it's sad when the people that you enjoy playing with leave. You know, it's just...
Well, I mean, with MMOs, right? So it's like a card game. It's like the Thursday poker night with the guys. The card game is just the thing that you do. But
it's more than that.
No, for sure. It is more than that, like, because the guys are getting together on Thursdays and chatting and laughing and having fun, drinking, camaraderie, stories, drama, like all of that happens,
but I mean,
while you're playing the game.
You're correct, but also it's more than that, even, because this guy was trying to kill me and you just saved my life. I owe you, man. Who are you? What's your name? Oh, like, that's how we meet, you know? Like, I have made friends in that same scenario where it's like I'm out trying to level, and then I'm getting ganked by this dude that's like 8 levels higher than me, and then somebody else the same level as him comes and saves my ass.
Yeah.
And now I've made a friend. No,
for sure.
Like, it's the stories and just the random crap that happens, you know? It's like you said, the stories and camaraderie, but there's outside forces that help drive that, you know? It's just... The MMO experience is something I wish everybody could experience.
No, for sure. It's one of those things, like I said, I've played World War for so long that I adore that experience. I played for 16 years. It was one of those things that I don't regret at all.
16.
Yeah, because I started in 2006. That was when I started
Burning Crusade.
It was, so Burning Crusade was January of 2007. So I played my first, if I remember correctly, it was October of 2006 of when
So you started like a few months before I started. Nice.
Yeah, so it was literally a few months, because I remember wanting to get up to max level so that way, like, whenever Burning Crusade happened, I can go from 60 to 70. But I never made it. Like, I ended up doing, so this is what I did. I leveled an undead warlock originally for those 3 months. Then when Blood Elves came out, I did a Blood Elf Hunter, never looked back. I literally just left the warlock to die.
Yeah.
Like,
so you were there when you had to buy bullets, and you had to get different types of bullets.
Yes. I mean, and people
you had to go to the Outlands. There was a vendor there in the Grand you had to go to get like the good bullets.
Oh yeah, or you can have. So there was engineers that made certain rare bullets that you could buy that were better than the vendor ones.
I was an engineer, yeah.
And I had a buddy on my server that would literally sell me bullets and arrows. And then,
oh hell yeah.
you know, and I remember he was really trying to get his reputation up with Hyjal, because Hyjal could give you the epic ammunition, but I never really got that. I never really was a raider in Burning Crusade. All I did was PvP. All I did was arena and PvP.
Same here. That's all I did, man. I loved the PvP in that game. And what pissed me off though was like, you kind of had to raid if you wanted best in slot for PvP. Even when they had PvP gear, it's like, well, as a rogue, it's like, well, the ring for the PvP gear isn't as good as the ring from this raid, so I need to go to the raid to get that. But to join the raid, I need to do this raid, and this raid to get that gear so I can go get that ring. Like that, I hated that so much. Like, I just felt like to get the good PvP stuff, I was kind of being gatekeeped by the raids. But I mean, it was all right. I mean, I enjoyed raiding, but as a rogue, it kind of sucked because I wasn't really needed, you know?
Well, yeah, I can get that, but I would have definitely needed you as an engineer. I mean, I was always looking for other engineers to see if they would actually quote me better prices. But the guy that I always had, he always had the best price. Like, he was really cool. Like, so I always looked out for him.
I was secretly supplying the Alliance with bullets and arrows.
So here's the thing.
I had to make money.
So here's the thing. Or go ahead.
I'm gonna say I because I started on Alliance, a guy I worked with. I started playing the game with him, and then when I left, because all my other friends were Horde, but on the same server, it was like a natural transition for me. But then I would go to Booty Bay, and then throw all my bullets and my arrows up on the auction house, just for him. I was like, all right, I'm selling them right now. Get on there, you know, and he'd get on there and get them for fairly cheap. It was great.
That's awesome. I was so new, like I was just the noobish noob. Like, my friend was playing on a PvP server, Altar of Storms and Burning Crusade, and I entered that server not knowing what I was getting into, not knowing that it's PvP server that people can literally gank me while I'm questing and leveling stuff. Had no idea PvE servers existed. I just thought that everyone was playing like this.
But imagine how boring that would be on a PvE server. Like, there's no risk.
No, for sure. But I mean, so I didn't know any other way to play the game. So it wasn't literally till Wrath of the Lich King that I ended up changing servers to Altar of Storms to Thunderhorn. And Thunderhorn was a PvE server. But I was getting tired of just the world PvP. You are a very big fan of world PvP.
Oh, I love it.
I was not, because I was usually not with people. So our group of friends that did arena, like they never wanted to be on the world. They were like just in this major cities, just queuing up and stuff. So even for my alts that I would want to try to level up, it was always a nightmare, you know. And I was just so sick of the game.
It's especially a nightmare when the expansion's young, because then everyone is leveling.
Yes,
it's awful then. But even when the expansion's young, I loved it. But I'm also a rogue, so I could avoid trouble in a lot of cases, you know. But
for sure,
I found myself being able to pick and choose my fights. So as a rogue, PvP was great, open world, because I could just stealth. And a lot of times I was stealthing for an entire quest, and then I would only come out of stealth to kill what I needed to kill, because in WoW you have perma stealth. Yeah. So I just put I spec'd with increased speed while stealth as much as I could. So my stealth run speed was as fast or close as my normal run speed. So I mean, the only down thing was I couldn't stealth mount. I wish I could. I would have. But I mean, it was a lot of fun, and I could just avoid fights and then pick and choose which ones I wanted to do.
For sure.
I don't know.
So
me and my brother, he played a rogue as well. And do you remember the Isle of Quel'Danas?
Oh yes.
When that came out, that was that before? Shortly before Wrath.
Oh yeah, that was the last.
It was the end of Burning Crusade. Yeah. And
that was Sunwell. That was the Sunwell.
The Sunwell Plateau. Yeah. So that was the main daily quest hub, and it was just a nightmare.
Yeah,
it was a small island,
Mhm.
Horde and Alliance, like run amok. And me and my brother, we were there and we'd always quest together because we could knock out the quest, 20, 30 minutes. We'd have them all done. And then we would just PvP and just fuck everyone else's day up. And this is like the coolest thing that has ever happened to me in any MMO experience I've ever had. Just me and my brother out there. And we saw 2 other guys from one of the top raiding guilds on the Alliance for our server. And we're like, all right, we don't know how this is going to go down because they're in the best raid gear possible. But we were also in our arena gear. So now it was a true test of PvP arena gear versus top raid gear. So we stealth up and we had a system down where I would open with an ambush and he would open with a cheap shot. So they were stunned and I would ambush, he'd cheap shot, we'd both vanish, and then we'd do the same thing again. 2 ambushes then. So like basically that person's stunned, he gets 3 ambushes, he's dead. Now we only have 1 guy to deal with. That was cakewalk. So they called out their friends. Eventually it was a 2v6 and we were still holding our own. We were still able to kill them one by one and just re-stealth because they were running back. They weren't grouping up and coming back as a group. They would die and then come back one at a time. So there were 6 there, but there were never more than 3 at a time that we had to deal with. So with blinds and cheap saps and cheap shot, it was just crowd control and kill.
Were you assassination build or were you subtlety build? Because I know
I was
really big.
I was a subtlety build and I used swords a lot.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I used dual swords a lot because I was a hemorrhage build. So not for this example, but I ended up going dual sword hemorrhage spec because I just laid on the CC and bleed them out. But we ended up having a really large guild versus guild fight out there that me and my brother caused because 6 they realized wasn't enough. So when we realized there was more than 10, we started calling our guild mates out like, hey, we're doing a 2vX right now. We don't know who's here or how many, but we know there's at least 10. We need some backup. We were handling 6. We need some help. And just then our other guildmates were logging on and they came to help us. So we had, I don't know, like 50 people out there from our guild and then 50 or so from theirs. And we just kept wiping them because they were just wearing raid gear. There's not enough defense on that gear.
There's no resilience.
Right. That's what it was called. So we were just owning them. And then the next day, we didn't see anyone from that guild. And then the day after that, we didn't see anyone out there from that guild. And then the day after that, we again didn't see anyone. And then someone's like, yeah, I heard they disbanded. So I don't know if it's true. I still don't know if it really happened, but I never saw anyone from that guild again. So I'm like, man, I didn't mean to cause that. If we did, it was unintentional, but I could just imagine what their voice comms would have sounded like. Like,
oh my God. The TeamSpeak or Ventrilo comms were probably crazy.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about Ashes. Okay. Because we're talking to the realm of world PvP. I just finished doing a video about griefing, right? World of Warcraft was 0 punishment for griefers, right? So if you wanted to be a griefer, you can go and camp somebody to your heart's content, ruin their entire life, and you'll never be punished for it. Like, you might be reported, they might report you, they might say, oh, like this guy won't leave me alone or whatever. But I mean, really nothing's going to happen to you. There's nothing in the game that's going to punish you. In Ashes, they have the corruption system, which I feel is a little too potent, considering what Alpha 1, did you play Alpha 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like corruption is way too harsh right now in a world contested PvP area?
I don't know. I mean, I want to see it. I want to see it when everything is there. Mm-hmm. Like when the game is more polished, like when we have all of our class systems in place, and open world PvP wasn't even turned on for the majority of Alpha 1. Yeah. So of course, when it was turned on, everyone wanted to do PvP at that point.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like we just need to see it like maybe in Alpha 2, and then it'll be easier to judge. I like harsh punishments, but I feel like the larger anti-grief mechanic of Ashes is you need the community to do anything. So like Final Fantasy 11 was, sure, you might be able to solo 1 to 10, but it's going to get increasingly difficult the higher level you are to solo. You're going to need other people. If you're out there being an asshole, you're going to piss off enough people, and then you're not going to be able to play the game because you won't be able to progress because you've pissed everybody off.
Yeah. And the fact that servers are going to matter, right? So you can't just,
exactly,
you know, be sharded into a mega server with 6 other servers and you're all cross pollinating and stuff. This is one server, 8 to 10, or what is it? 10 to 12? I can't remember if it was 8 to 12 or whatever the case is.
I don't remember. Yeah.
It's still something where you cannot hide. If you want to be a douchebag, you will be known on your server as the douchebag or the douchebag guild, you know, because I know that there's going to be guilds in certain servers that just want to PK people. Like, that's all they want to do.
Right.
And
but what happens when you're a member of that guild and now you want to join somebody else, but they know you were a member of that guild?
Exactly. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so all of these decisions are going to matter. The kind of reputation you want to build for your character is going to matter.
I think that it's going to take a while for people to realize that, though. Like,
really? You think so?
We've been so far from this for so long.
Oh, that's very true. I agree with you.
Like, we've been playing like Guild Wars 2 and World of Warcraft, you know, for so long now, where you can solo the entire game unless you want to do a raid, but then you can just use looking for group, not speak to anybody, do the content, and leave.
Yeah.
Now, a game like Ashes, where you have to talk to other people to look for a group, you have to be somewhat well known with a good reputation, right? You can't be an asshole, unless you just don't want to progress.
Well, and to me, so I feel like back then, what we sort of lacked was organization. Now, we have forums, Discord. We have so many different ways to meet new people and new communities, especially Discord. Discord was like so revolutionary in the sense of like gaming and being able to create these gaming Discords, and just like even YouTubers, right, that make these Discords. You can go in, play with your favorite streamer or YouTuber or whatever. And in Ashes, that's going to be huge, you know, because you're going to need people. And it's awesome the fact that right now the game's not even out. I'm in a guild myself for Ashes of Creation. And it's insane the fact that like I am in a guild now. I'm actually playing with my guildies now, other games like Lost Ark and stuff. And so I'm actually being able to build a camaraderie, because I know with a lot of people, right, when you go into a guild or when you go into a game, you usually don't have a guild when you go into a game, right? You don't know anybody.
Typically no.
Like, so the fact is with Ashes, like you can literally jump in and you can go to the Ashes of Creation Discord, go to their community side, and there's tons of guilds that list what they want to do. Like if you want to role play, if you want to be an economist, if you just want to be like there's gathering guilds, bro, where all they do, they're all lumberjacks. I just want to go and chop trees down. Like, it's crazy. Like, I love the communities that this game
a
is
lumberjack
building.
guild. If that's their focus, then they have to do some play on word.
Oh, dude, I can't remember what they did. I think it was got wood, or I don't remember. But
it's got to be something like that.
It was something funny. But like, my whole point is, I've never even played an MMO where they're creating these kinds of communities, like totally like niche guild communities. Like there's going to be there's bandit guilds, there's pirate guilds, there's all these different variations and forms of content. My whole thing for guilds for most MMOs is you join a guild to raid. Like that's the only prime function.
But you cannot do that with Ashes.
No, I know.
It's just not going to work. I think there are going to be a lot of guilds that are formed right now that are going to fall apart in the first week of the game.
You think so?
And definitely. And the reason I say that is the way this game is created, the way that it's going to run. When you create your character, you're going to start off in different locations than other members of your guild in a lot of cases, unless you all agree to start in one place. But then as you level, you're going to realize, well, I need to go over there to get this weapon that I want, but my guild is over here. It's going to take me a day to get over there. And then we have to unlock this node. Like, I think very quickly your interests are going to unravel. So I think your like-minded interests with your guild are going to unravel as you start to realize what you need for what you want. Mm-hmm. Your interests may better align with somebody else that's over there where that weapon is that you want to get. Unless you're in a guild that's like a pirate-focused guild, because that's, themed around the sea. And like, I feel like something like that, like certain themes I think will work. But if you're in a node that doesn't meet your expectations and what you want to get from the game, you're going to have to leave that node and potentially your guild.
Well, I mean, here's the thing though, right? So it's better to learn that early, because the one thing I love about the guild that I joined, right? I joined Axiom, by the way. And my whole thing with guilds is I like the vibe. If the vibe is good, I'm good. If I start hearing people talk and it's not my scene, or the jokes or the way they speak, if it's too, like, I don't know, it's all about
if
the
it's
vibe.
grating.
Yeah, where it's just like, oh, that's not, but I mean, no, so that's my thing. But the one thing I do love, and just to kind of clarify if someone is listening to this that's brand new, so if you played New World, you literally get so you pick a character, you randomly just get plopped into the world. That's not how Ashes is going to handle it. You're going to be able to choose, I believe, up to 4 different locations. Mm-hmm. And so when you join the world of Vera and you make your character, you can choose, if you're a dwarf, you can start at the dwarf area. But if your friend is like, a Tolnar or a Renkai or whatever other race, you can actually start at your friend's race. Like if I'm a dwarf and he's a Renkai, I can start at the Renkai starting zone. I think that's awesome. It is brilliant.
Awesome. But if you're in a guild and your guild says start here, and you're like, but I'm an elf and I want to start here.
And that's like all, so that's all stuff that needs to be discussed in Alpha 2, right? So it's all these little niches and cliques and stuff like that. So again, I know there's people in Axiom that want to go all into economy. There's other people that just want to go full bore into, I don't know, the naval system. There's other people that really just want to do caravan runs and just level the nodes, level your character. I mean, there's gonna be all these different branches and stuff like that. And I
want to do caravan ambushes.
Oh my god, dude! That is my most excited feature, in my opinion.
Dude,
is the caravan system.
Yeah,
the system. Oh, dude, I cannot wait.
It's going to drive the economy so much, and I want to be the guy that's got a group of bandits hiding in the bushes and the shadows and comes out and takes that caravan.
Oh, dude. So
that's
what? So here's
I want to offer my protection. Like, hey, pay me 50 gold. And I will escort your caravan over to the other side. Oh, you refuse? Okay, that's fine. You don't need my protection? Okay. And then I get my friends and we just attack that caravan that refused our protection. We steal the 50 gold anyways, and along with whatever else we can get. Well, and then we offer that same person protection the next time we see them. We kind of,
No, I guess you. And here's the other thing, and this is what I tell a lot of my friends is, Ashes of Creation is officially the Game of Thrones MMO, because there's going to be some shady shit happening. Because you could also be that person to say, hey, it's just me by myself, which you'd be an idiot to run a caravan by yourself. Just saying that, by the way. But if I did, and you came up to me, Luto, and said, hey, I'll protect you. I'm a rogue. I'll go stealth and I'll just be behind your caravan and make sure no one gets you. I pay you gold to protect me, but the entire time you're already going to double cross me anyway, because your guild is actually a couple of knocks away. I don't know that, and now I'm double crossed. I'm like, I paid you gold to protect me, psych, bitch. And then just like,
or I could even play it and have like my guild, just 6 guys, hey, I want you guys to show up and lose the fight. And then it'll look like I'm a badass that can protect this caravan.
Dude,
you know, just throw the fight. And then we have a customer for life.
No, it's true. And that's what I'm saying.
It's like
there's so many
the strategy, you know,
possibilities.
There's going to be
insane.
a lot of social politics in this game.
Oh, dude. It's to the nth degree. And that's what I'm very excited about Ashes, is the fact of just the social, political, the fact that there's going to be kings and queens, castles, guild wars, castle sieges, node sieges. I mean, just the amount
bounty hunting.
Oh, dude, the bounty hunter system is.
I'm going to be an outlaw that does bounty hunting. That's going to be me.
So I came across this guild. I can't remember. It was in the Ashes Discord, where they wanted to be known on their server as murderers, like Jack the Ripper. Like they want to be known
like
as
like an MPK guild or something.
Yes, and like they're all like they want to be branded as this, like, stay away from those people, don't interact with those people. And I don't know how to feel about that, because again, I mean, I think
it's awesome.
No, I do think too. I think the same thing as well. But again, how's the longevity for that guild going to be? Like, right? It's like
if
after
they
a while,
numbers, then it's going to be fine.
That's
right.
true.
I mean, if they are a group of like-minded individuals, and if they have like 40 people, they should be able to do any content that's available.
Yeah,
they'll be fine.
Well, I think, and that's the thing, right? So it just comes to show the if when you let the players have the keys of the castle, right, the kind of content we can create ourselves. And that's exactly what Steven is doing, because a lot of times you'll have other gaming companies or development studios basically paint you into a little corner, you know, or a little play box and say, you know, you're going to play in this play box, but we're going to tell you the game to play. I don't care if you don't like it. This is what you're going to do. This is your game loop. Now have fun. And Steven is basically saying, well, we're going to give you like 8 different game loops, and you could just do whatever game loop is like good for you. And either one is going to probably progress your character, or either way, you're just.
I think that I think early WoW did it right.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as like giving a narrative, giving you a story and a plot to follow, but then just letting you go make your own journey as you progress through that story. So they give you little breadcrumbs, like with the main scenario, the main story, you know, you got to go here, and then you're gonna have to go over to here, and so there's like a linear path to kind of follow. And what I would like to see with Ashes is several linear paths to follow. Yeah. I think that would be really cool if they could pull that off, to have a main story, but you accept a quest from this person that gives you a quest for the main story to progress you through that. But because you chose that path, the other 4 are now locked out, because that part of the story has already happened. You've chose your path, and then you have another choice to make. You can either go back and like help this person as that's progressed. Yeah. So like there's multiple timelines going, or multiple stories going, following the same main scenario.
Yeah,
but you can choose which parts. Yeah, so you can choose which parts of the story you want to assist with. So all while that's happening, you have your own shit going on with the caravans and with the nodes and all the sieges, and like I would love to see that.
So that's kind of like what I thought more of the Indiana Jones fragmented sort of story. Like you can basically piece certain story bits together depending on what kind of content you're choosing to do, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to go and do off quests, dungeon stories, you know, profession stuff, naval stuff, like everything's gonna have its own sort of story. And I would love that kind of I mean, people would say fragmented, but I mean really it's just kind of like pick your own adventure, you know, kind of thing, right?
Right.
If you don't want to participate in the main story, there's other things you can do, like, and I think with Final Fantasy they really force the main story like down,
but it's so good.
No, I agree. Like, I'm not trying to say that it's not a great story. It is an amazing story. Like Shadowbringers brought me to tears. Like
yeah. I wanted to reiterate that Final Fantasy 11 story was kind of it was okay.
Yeah.
14 is just
on another level.
Next level. Like I have played every Final Fantasy game, and I will say that 14 has probably the best story.
Oh yeah, by
It,
far.
yeah.
By far. I mean, like I said, I cried in
Especially
Heaven's
like,
Ward. I cried in Shadowbringers. I haven't played Endwalker, the
oh my
story
God,
yet,
dude.
but so I have it. I've played about an hour, 2 hours maybe. I'm still level 80, but I've been doing other stuff,
Dude.
and it's.
Endwalker is so good.
I know,
Shadowbringers, I was telling everyone this is the hands down best story I've ever had in an MMO, and it was just an expansion.
Yeah.
And Endwalker was better.
Everyone says that. Everyone says that. How can you beat Shadowbringers? Like with the 5.0 cutscene, the 5.3 cutscene, how do you escalate that? How does it get better? Like, oh,
and I will tell you this. There were moments in Endwalker when I'm like, how does it get better? I'm like, I'm only level 83. How does it get better than this? How do you top this? Oh, I'm level 85 and this just happened. What's next?
Yeah.
You know, it was just, I felt like every couple of levels in Endwalker, I felt like I was having like a grand finale. Like, it was just insane. Like, this is the finale of a season of a show that I've been watching, you know, like every couple of levels. And I cried probably 3 times playing Endwalker, and the last time was just like they play with the nostalgia feels a lot.
Oh my God.
And they really hit you, dude. And the story and the characters are written so well, and the voice actors, they nail it. Like they nail that. They capture the feeling perfectly. And that's why I will say it and stress it over and over and over again. We need voice acting in Ashes of Creation, at least for the main scenario, at least for the main story quest.
So I'm right there with you, right? But if you're gonna do voice acting, it needs to be top tier voice acting. It can't be Lost Ark voice acting. Like,
yeah,
oh,
we
gotta. Yeah, so I'm a huge. So let me preface this. I love anime. I will watch anime in sub. I will watch anime in dub. I have Chris Sabat's autograph. I have Michael Tatum's autograph. I have Yeah, I have a lot of voice actors that from Funimation. I have their autograph. I have Austin Tyndall.
Oh my God, dude.
Austin Tyndall. He was the lead in Tokyo Ghoul. He was Kaneki's voice. I mean, I love dub voice acting, and I would think if I was Steven, I would literally go to Funimation and be like, hey, how much would you guys charge for you guys to do my game? Because, you know, McCreary, right? He freaking wrote the Walking Dead music. That music is fucking
and
amazing.
Also Outlander and Black Sails.
Oh, I know. Like,
the dude's a genius. Like,
yeah, I love his music. But again, people in Lost Ark just skip the story. Literally just skip.
Well, I mean, isn't it like more like Diablo or like Pathfinder or something?
It's an isometric MMO, which I am a huge fan of. I like that.
I love Diablo. I really do.
Me too.
And I don't think that I could get into that kind of game anymore. Like, if I'm playing I want an MMO. Like, that's what I really want. Is like exactly how. But I want it to be controlled and feel like an MMO, not like Diablo 2. You know what I mean? Like the controls and everything.
You want to be able to move the camera. You want it to
the hack and slash point to click, and I'm not into that. I don't know why. It's just not as immersive as I want it to be, because I feel like I'm playing a game. I don't want to feel like I'm playing a game.
No, for sure. And I totally get you on that. You know, I wouldn't say tolerate it, because I do enjoy it, but I can see it for what it is and enjoy it. But going back to
I'm not saying it's bad, you know, I just the reason I play MMOs, like you asked way earlier, you know, at the beginning, was it's immersive, and I feel like I'm a part of that world. I'm a part of that, you know, it's not a game anymore. It's like it's an immersive experience and storytelling, and the PvP. It's just, I feel like I'm there. Whereas, you know, like with Diablo 2 or Lost Ark, it's a game. It's fun, but it's a game.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so for me, like when it comes to the voice acting, like everyone's been kind of, crapping and poo-pooing on Lost Ark's voice acting, which, rightfully so. I think they didn't have a lot of time. You can definitely tell that a lot of the voices were rushed, completely missed the mark, right? Some voices just didn't fit the body that it was being voiced from. And I feel, again, voice acting can be so powerful if it's done right. Like you look at Endwalker, you look at Shadowbringers, you look at anything from Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah,
it's top tier. Now, I'd never played Guild Wars. You do. You play Guild Wars too. How is the voice acting in Guild Wars? Is it okay? Good. Is it serviceable?
It's not Final Fantasy 14 caliber, but
yeah.
I mean, we'll see what their expansion's coming out in like a week, just over a week. So
End of Dragons.
We'll see what that's all about. But currently, there are certain characters where the voice acting is just god awful.
Yeah.
But then there's other characters like Timey. She's the cutest freaking thing ever, and it's just a cute little old woman that actually like does the voice acting for Timey, and it's just spot on. It's exactly what you would expect from that character. It's perfect.
Yeah, and I only say Funimation, right? Because, dude, they've been killing it with some of these animes lately, man. With like, the acting, the voice acting. It's just like, if you were to get, oh my God, what's her name? She does ADR, but she also does voice casting as well. She's the voice of Momo from My Hero Academia. I am literally blanking on her name. Golly, sorry, but she would nail. Like, you give her photos of those characters from Ashes, and she would know right off the bat. I have a person I think that would do like a couple of different takes on that person. They would get him down, whatever.
That'd be awesome.
Like I think if they could do it correctly, right? Because again, it does cost money. I don't think it costs the amount of money that people are thinking it costs. It does not cost millions of dollars for voice acting. It does not.
Even if it did,
it does
do a
not.
GoFundMe. I'll give them $100 right now. I mean,
oh no, for sure. I think a lot of people in the Ashes community.
If funding is an issue, we can solve that.
Yes,
I think we all want this MMO to be the best MMO we've ever played. I feel like we all have hopes that this game is going to be the answer to everything we've been looking for. With all the various MMOs we played over the years, this is the one I feel like that a lot of us that are looking at it, we want to get into this and be like, yes, the combat is smooth, just like this other MMO that I play, or like, yeah, the story is just as great as this one, and the voice acting is spot on, and the music is just nailing it, and the sound effects are just perfect. And I don't care that it takes me 3 days to walk over to the other side of the continent, because there's a journey and an experience that I'm going to have that I don't get from the other games.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you on that.
I'm so tired of the rush to max level. Like, I want the experience.
I hate it.
Like, what's the fucking hurry? I mean, you get to max level and then what? You're gonna rush to get the gear? Why? So you can wait until there's more shit released? So you can rush and get that? Like, fucking enjoy it. Like, just play the game. Enjoy it for what it is. Like in Guild Wars 2, I did nothing but PvP for a year and a half. I would log on and do PvP and I didn't get anything from it. I just enjoyed doing it.
No, for sure. And I think with Ashes, right? Like when it comes to the voice acting part, I know Steven is already like overly bombarded with Alpha 2 looming ahead, with just and I know deep down he wants voice acting, but feasibly right now it's just not in the cards right now. I would not be surprised
for beta.
Exactly. I would not be surprised if later down the road, Steven also mentioned, and I can't remember where he said it, but he said Ashes is going to be the next generation MMO. How could you be the next generation MMO with a tape player in the car? Because again, that's like literally buying a 2023 car and there's a literal tape player inside. No Bluetooth, no CD
That's
player.
If he doesn't put voice acting in the game on release, it needs to have voice acting, because if he doesn't have it, it's going to be it'll be just like when Final Fantasy 14 came out the first time, and we know what a debacle that was. But you couldn't even jump. Like, literally, you couldn't jump. You wouldn't think that would be a core feature that you need in an MMO. But everything else out there, every other MMO, you could jump with your character.
And when you couldn't, in world. You're just like Jason, like walking in the freaking bottom of it.
But so you know what I mean? So it's like when you go into an MMO and then there's just a basic feature like jumping that's not in it, it does not feel good.
Yeah.
And I think that voice acting is one of those things now that's just expected. And when you don't have it, it's going to be really noticeable that it's missing.
Well, and again, Final Fantasy doesn't voice act every single quest. There's so many.
And you don't need to.
Yeah, there's so many side quests that just don't have it. You just read it, and I think that's fine.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I do think that Steven also mentions lore is so important. The story he is cultivating for Ashes, that's his story. Like that's what he's creating. Like why would you?
Then again, with voice acting, there's a lot you get from audio. It's another sense, but if you're just reading it, there's a lot of nuance you're not going to get just reading the text.
I'm totally there with you, but to me, this is why I feel like voice acting will be in Ashes of Creation, because Steven, I feel like he's like me. I feel like he's just prioritizing certain things right now because they probably don't have certain models or characters. Like I'm sure there's going to be like a set of characters, right? Like at Final Fantasy 14, you have Y'shtola, you have Thancred, you have
Tataru and Ranger and all
like,
them. Yep.
The ensemble, right? You have the ensemble.
Yep.
Like they probably just haven't created the ensemble yet. So doing voice acting right now is just not in the cards, right? Or whatever. And so, but I do think, especially with him trying to cultivate this awesome story, especially hiring the freaking ESO narrative design person.
Right.
I'm sure he wants this story to be good, but it doesn't matter how great it is. Because if there's no voice acting, people are just gonna escape.
Yep.
And they're just gonna skip it because people don't want to read. That's just how it is. Like in Lost Ark,
what's difficult too, from a content creator or streamer perspective.
Yeah.
When playing Final Fantasy 14, I hated it when I had to read all the dialogue to the stream, and I did. Like I would play I didn't read the side quests, but when I was doing the main scenario quests, if it wasn't voice acted, I read everything.
Yeah.
And man, that sucked. It sucks to read all that.
And there's 6 or 7 bubbles of like big paragraph text that you have to read.
Like, and then every time your Ranger would speak, it's like, dude, why can't you just talk like a normal person? I don't even know what half these words mean. It's like
the thus and thou and whatever the heck. He's crazy, dude. I don't know.
And it's funny because in Endwalker, there's actually a few points of dialogue where they make fun of the way he speaks.
Oh my god.
It's great.
Oh, dude. Like okay. So we talked about all that. I kind of want to backtrack a little bit.
Yep.
And we talked about Ashes. We talked about how excited we are for certain things. But how did you find out about Ashes specifically? Like, was it the Lazy Peon video? Was it
that was one of them?
Or what was the initial time?
God, it was like 2020. I remember because I was laid off from work. I had nothing better to do than just watch YouTube. So yeah, I was laid off for like 7 weeks. I enjoyed it. It was all right. I got a little bored, but it was all right. But yeah, I think the Lazy Peon video was one of the videos. I don't know if it was the first video I saw, but it was the one that was done well enough for me to get the information I needed to know that this was a game that I was wanting to back. After watching this video, I was trying to convince my wife to let me spend $500.
Dude, so here's my thing. I was still knee deep in World of Warcraft in 2020, right? I didn't quit until a year later. I saw Asmongold's stream, the Lazy Peon video for Ashes. My mind completely got blown. Like I was like, there's no way in hell this game is gonna come out. Like I was I was pessimistic, but I was just. And then due to my pessimism, Steven messaged Asmon on Twitter and said, hey, I see you watching the video. If you want, I can jump in and we can talk about it. This is coming again from a World of Warcraft background where the devs are totally scared shitless to talk to any WoW content creator.
Right.
And here he is, eagerly, doesn't even know Asmon, is saying, hey, I am literally driving, but I will hop in Discord and I will talk to you as I'm driving.
Yep.
It blew my fucking mind. And then just listening to the Lazy Peon video, hearing Asmon react to it, and then also interviewing Steven for like an hour and 20 minutes or an hour and 30 minutes.
Yep.
That whole experience I was hooked. I was hooked because of Steven. It wasn't the video really. I was so skeptical of the video, but Steven sold me because I've never seen a developer so passionate. I have, but it's been so long, but Steven kind of reinvigorated the passion that I was missing.
When you think about it, like back in WoW's heyday, like back in like Burning Crusade, Wrath of Lich King, Chris Metzen.
Oh, dude.
Chris Metzen was phenomenal.
Yep.
And those dudes back then, they had the passion. They were making a game they were going to play. That's why the game was so damn good. Yep. They played the game. They played with the players. They were right there with us. Yep. And that all went away. We don't have that from any major developer that I can think of. And now with Steven and his passion, and he's doing exactly what they did back in the day. He's making a game he wants to play.
Exactly. And that's what's just missing in today's, that's why, even though I'm playing Lost Ark, I'm treating Lost Ark very differently than I have World of Warcraft. And I do play Final Fantasy, but I play Final Fantasy more for the story.
Same.
I don't know what it is about Final Fantasy 14. And please don't hate me for saying this. I don't find the connection of wanting to play it every day. I love the story. I love the story. I love what I experienced from the story. Oh my God. Like I said, I cried so many times.
You got to play Endwalker, dude.
I know, I do. I'm really excited to play Endwalker, but I don't even care to find like a guild in Final Fantasy.
I don't
14.
either.
I don't want to raid.
I did. In Shadowbringers, I did find a guild because that expansion, it sucked me in. Like I was like, all right, this game's awesome, right? So
for sure.
I was looking for an MMO to stick with because Guild Wars 2 is very casual, and I feel like I run out of things to do. I enjoy playing it, but I don't feel the need to do anything because I have the gear I need for my character, and I don't play alts, so I don't really need anything else. So I was playing Final Fantasy 14 for Shadowbringers, and I enjoyed it so much. I joined a raiding guild when I got max level, and I did that for like a year. I was a main tank for a raiding guild, and I loved it. But
where were you, a Dark Knight warrior?
Yeah, Dark Knight.
Dark Knight, yeah.
I love the Dark Knight. It was just fun. But I don't know. I just got bored of it. Like my guild was like having a hard time in one of the raids, and I kind of got tired of wiping all the time, and I'm just like, I'm not having fun anymore, so I just stopped playing.
And that's the thing. Like I appreciate Yoshi P. I really do. I think he's an amazing developer, and I think he should still keep doing what he's doing because he is doing something correctly, because he's following the original WoW formula, but he's also not wanting to change every expansion.
Oh my God.
Because the thing I hate about World of Warcraft is every expansion, they literally try to reinvent the wheel. If you look at Final Fantasy, you look at the main story quest, you go to a new zone, right? When a new expansion comes out, you go to a new zone, you do the story in that zone, you find the little wind spheres in that zone, then you can fly. It has not changed. That has been the way to do it ever since Heaven's Ward. There's no reason to change it.
Every expansion is the same.
It's the same. And so that consistency, and also the Element tomestones, like all the tomestones that's still the same system. They're not
Yep.
going to say, oh, we're going to get rid of that system, we're going to do another whole new system for Gary.
Well,
No.
they just progress the tombstones. Like, well, these are now the
Exactly.
weaker version, and then we have a stronger version, you know, and it keeps that progression, and it's perfect.
Well. They do it so
I feel
well.
like the story really drives the game, but then there are players who stick around for each patch and the raids and things like that. Whereas like I'm probably like you, where when the next expansion comes out, I'll hop back on. I'll do all the story content. You know, like when Endwalker was getting ready to come out, I jumped back in a month early so I could catch up on all the patches that I missed. So I did all of that. It was old content at the time, so it was really easy to do because everyone was already out geared. Yeah. So I just went through all the story content and all the old content, and then I just played through the current expansion until I ran out of story. And then I put it back down.
So the one thing playing Lost Ark right now recently is I love their UI system, and I know to a lot of people that it's kind of overwhelming because there's so many UI components for different things. But coming from World of Warcraft,
kind of like WoW with add-ons.
Sort of. So there's just so many different things. There's so many systems in Lost Ark that you can completely get lost in. There's like a card system where if you have a choice of putting 6 cards on your character, and they can provide little set bonuses to you. But there's like also like a shit ton of cards, you know. So that's one system. Then there's an engraving system where it's like all these different systems. But I love it, you know. We talk about Ashes. Ashes has a ton of systems all interconnected, just like Lost Ark does. The one thing I want, especially coming from World of Warcraft, is a kind of achievement system built into Ashes of Creation, to where, because Lost Ark does it very well with their achievement UI. And in World of Warcraft, I was a transmog hunter. I wanted all the mog, I wanted all the tier sets, I wanted everything. And I loved seeing my progression in my transmog just keep going up and up and up. And I would love for that to be there for Ashes, as well as housing stuff, because I think having a housing transmog system for like different chair models, different carpet models, different tile models, different wall models, different home models, like
that would drive economy too, because you want to unlock that new, you get another chair skin that you need to unlock, but you need to get with like a miller or something, you know, they can help you unlock and make that. I think that'd be really cool.
And that's the thing of why I want it so bad, because in other games, it's just different. In Final Fantasy, you would just go to like a certain raid or a certain thing. You can get those mats by yourself. You would give them to somebody to make it for you, and they would make that chair for you, which is great. And I want that to be in Ashes. But in Ashes, with how economy is going to work in general, right, there's going to be a lot more to it. So everything can literally, just like in Final Fantasy, there's Heaven's Ward, like apartment and home stuff that's still relevant even in Endwalker, you know. And that's what I want for Ashes. I want there to be like a catalog of all this home transmog stuff that you can get, and that if you want to get every single chair made in Vera, there's a page there for you, and you just check off each one. And I think, again, just having all of this stuff to just check off boxes. I'm a huge I like checking off boxes. That's my thing. Like, I love
completionist.
Yes, I love trying to complete everything I possibly can, because I want
that's going to be really difficult with Ashes, though.
You think so?
Oh, I know so.
Oh, well, tell me why. Tell me why.
Well, think of the nodes, man. Like, you want to get that chair skin that you don't have, but you have to get the plan that's only available from this node when certain conditions are met.
But that's the thing, though. Like, and that's why I'm more excited about it, because again, as an achievement person, there's always certain things of getting certain achievements. Like if I want, the PvP mount, I got to get up to 2100 rating. I can't just do PvP for a little bit and then I get the mount. Like there's certain conditions that need to be applied, and I believe the conditions in Ashes can be very, very either exclusive, very rare, and that's what people are wanting.
There are going to be conditions that are only met once. And you may never see those conditions again. And
that's what makes it so cool, is the fact that, like, you know, I don't know. I find Ashes, to me, and most people may find that to be very frustrating, because they want to be able to complete all the things, but you only want to complete all the things if it's relative to the other people collecting all the things. If they're doing it very easy and you're not, then that's not a good feeling. But if everybody's on the same in the same race where it's very difficult, but you managed to get that thing that opened up that one time that no one else on the server is going to have, that creates that same feeling of World of Warcraft back in Burning Crusade or even Classic. When you saw the freaking shoulders on somebody, you're like, holy crap, how did you get those? Or Thunder Fury, you know what I mean? It was all these things that not many people had, but it was so cool to see people with them.
It's like, I want to be, I plan on making an elf. I don't know if I'm going to go like the high elf or wood elf route yet, but thinking about what we're talking about, if I'm an elf and I hear of this dwarven dagger, like I have to go all the way to Dunir Dwarves to get this dagger for my rogue, I'm going to do that. It's going to be one hell of a journey. I'm going to get that dagger if the conditions are met, but then those conditions may never be met again. And then I go back to the elf kingdom and I have this dwarven dagger that's better than what every other elf rogue has. And then they want to know how I got it.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
It's like, well, you have to do this, this, and this. Well, I have to go all the way over there, and it has to be wintertime, and it has to be at this time of day, and then this node has to be owned by orcs, like or something. It's just, with those conditions met, then this gate will open or something, you know, like that's what I want to see.
No, for sure. And it's that exclusivity that MMO people really want, but all the casuals hate that. All the casual people that want to jump in, they're like, I just want everything now. I'm a dad, you know, Dude,
that's me.
I'm a dad too. And I don't want that. I don't want it.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, man.
Look, and here's the thing, like, and I want to talk to you about your MMO career and how it's evolved. Do you still feel like, even now, being a gamer for as long as you have, been playing MMOs all the way back in like 2005 or 6, do you feel like you've become casual, or do you still feel like you're hardcore?
I'm casual, but I want to be hardcore like I used to be.
Okay, so here's the thing. I've become casual. Like, so I've always, even in WoW, back in, even last year when I quit, I was still raiding. I've always been a raider since Wrath of the Lich King. I ended my career as a raider.
That's hard to keep that up for so long, man.
I did.
Congrats.
Yeah, I know. I did.
That's difficult.
Yes, it is, especially with guilds and drama
and life.
Yeah, and life in general. Exactly. So
how many different houses have you lived in since you started WoW? I mean,
dude, I have two. I
mean, you said you played for like 16 years or whatever. Your life has probably gone through some significant changes in that time.
Well, okay, so, oh my God. So I was living with my parents, and then I moved to San Antonio. So 5 or 6 now, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because I lived with my friend Bobik. I lived with my buddy Omar Noe. I lived with my buddy Shiloh, and then now I'm living at my home right now with my wife. So. And
then how many jobs have you had? You know.
Oh, that's another like 7. I don't know, like 10. It's been.
And every single one of your jobs has paid for your subscription fee and your internet to be able to raid during that whole time, and you were able to keep raiding through all of these life changes. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I did it because, again, I was so passionate. It's like, when you really want something, you will do. Just like whenever you were trying to get your PlayStation, and like you did everything you could to get that.
I got blisters.
Yes, I'm saying. So I did the same thing because, again, you know, there's a huge passion for MMOs for me. Like, I love MMOs, and especially in Ashes, coming now, like, and playing even Lost Ark very casually, right? I do want there to be casual components to Ashes, right? Like the tavern stuff. I don't want the tavern stuff to be hard or to be like, you know, super end gamey, like hardcore player, you know. No, I want it to be
easy to unlock and run a tavern, but I want the difficulty to come in, like, into unlocking other skins or things for your tavern, or maybe different menu items or something, or like different activities. I have to like unlock the checkers game by doing this quest, and now I have that game that I could put in my tavern. I think that would be really cool. And then like the casual content could be like, if you have an NPC run your tavern, like a barkeep or something. Like I think that'd be cool. But I'm right there with you. Like I'm playing casually right now, like very casually. I haven't even played. Guild Wars 2 is my main MMO right now, and I have not been on that game in almost 2 weeks.
Really? Well, I mean, you're right at the end of the expansion. It always happens. People always get fatigued right before there's expansion.
Well, I was grinding pretty hard, man.
Yeah,
I just got my legendary armor and everything. I'm all ready for the expansion. So I'm like, I need to take a step back, take a break, cool my jets. That way when the expansion comes out, I'm ready to play it.
Yeah. And just to be clear, because I've never played Guild Wars 2, is it like WoW where you have to buy the box cost plus subscription?
No, there's no sub.
Oh, there's no sub. So it's just like
sub.
New World.
You can
just buy it and that's it.
You don't even need to buy it. You can play the base game for free. No sub, no fee at all. You can just download it and play it. There are restrictions in place. I think that you can't go to Lion's Arch until level 30 or something like that. And I feel like you can't go into the first town until you're level 10. And that's how they combat the gold sellers. So you're able to play through up to max level with a free account.
I might have to try that because I've never played Guild Wars 2. And honestly, like I was looking at ESO and I have no thrill or ambition to play ESO. I'm very glad that you're playing Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2
Me too.
is always mentioned when it comes to combat for Ashes.
Oh man. Yeah.
So I've never played Guild Wars 2. I've played, World of Warcraft, which is it's a tab enhanced game. It's not completely tab. There are some things that are directional. There are some things that,
and some AoEs, yeah.
There's some AoEs like Whirlwind where you don't need to target anything. It's just
some cone effects. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's I say tab enhanced. Now, what is Guild Wars 2's combat? Because people say it's like you can mix and match, like you can.
It's a hybrid.
So in what way is it a hybrid?
Okay, so you can go into like a first-person targeting mode, which is kind of like an FPS game at that point.
With a crosshair?
And then you have to like target your enemies with that. It's I don't think anyone uses it because it doesn't work very well. But if you go into your tab targeting mode, which is what everyone uses that I know, because all right, in PvP there was this handicap challenge you could do where you'd have to do the whole match in the first person targeting mode and see if you could do good. That's how hard it is to use. Sorry, my cat decided to come say hi.
Oh, you're fine. Oh.
But the combat in your tab targeting mode is still a hybrid between action combat and tab combat, because you don't need to target anything really to hit it with your abilities if you're in range.
Okay.
So unless it's a targeted ability. So like there are certain abilities that are targetable to your enemies. There's a lot of ground target abilities. There's a lot of cone effect abilities. There's in the expansion, the Thief, which is what I play, our new elite spec is called the Spectre. And the Spectre, it's a huge deal because we are the first class to have a single target heal that hasn't been in the game yet.
Interesting.
Which healing up till now has been, hey, come over by me. I need to heal you. So like you would stand in proximity of someone who would drop a well down, or they would have like a breath effect that would heal you, or it's like a cone effect, but you don't need to target your friendly player to do that. And now with the Spectres, we're able to single target heal. So I can target a player just like you can in any other MMO and cast a heal.
Interesting. So let me just kind of put it into WoW terms, and I'm going to put it into the Rogue terms so that way you remember. So Sinister Strike. Sinister Strike in World of Warcraft is you have to tab someone to use Sinister Strike. In Guild Wars 2, would Sinister Strike be an AoE, or would it still be? Okay.
It would be like a line effect, I guess. Like if you're facing someone and if you're in range and if you use the ability, it will hit that person.
But you don't need a tab to them.
You do
Guild
not.
Wars 2.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay.
But there are abilities where you do want to target them, because if it's like a ranged ability, like then it will hit. Like,
Gosh, it's just really hard for me to understand because, like, coming from WoW, it just seems very odd. But but people that play Guild Wars 2 say that they like it. You know, I'm
well, like I have an ability called Steal, and the steal mechanic for the thief, it drives the thief. Like there's so much shit loaded onto that one ability, but that you have to have a target. If I do not have a target and I use my steal ability, I will get some of the effects from steal, because I do have one trait where if I use steal, I get swiftness, which makes me run faster. So sometimes I'll use it without targeting someone just to give myself swiftness so I can run faster. Now, if I have someone targeted, I also have a trait where I can shadow step to that person if I use steal on them. So they have to be targeted to use that ability. It's a weird mix. Like, I think it works really well because you learn really quickly how each one of your abilities works. And then you know, like, I need a target for this. And if I don't have a target for this, then this happens.
Okay. So, I mean, because you play Guild Wars 2, you play Final Fantasy 14, you play World of Warcraft. In your opinion,
I played Aeon, I've played Rift, I've played Wildstar, I've played... in 2013, there was like a surge of MMOs that came out.
Oh, yeah.
I think there was like 20 MMOs that came out.
Wildstar, Rift.
Oh, yeah, I played Star
Terra.
Wars, yep.
Yeah.
Star Wars The Old Republic was a lot of fun. That had a really good narrative as well.
Oh, dude. I loved The Old Republic. When it came to, like, the choosing, like, everything was voice acted. You can choose your dialogue way more than even Final Fantasy was able to. And you can also be, like, a good Sith or, like, a bad Jedi. Oh, I love that mechanic. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that game, they nailed it.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean,
like,
it took them a while for
Wildstar,
them to nail it.
I feel like Wildstar had a lot of potential, but they were trying too hard to be like WoW. And it's like, it felt like playing WoW with a different skin. Yeah. So it's kind of like, why am I playing this? I mean, what's the point? And it didn't feel polished either.
Well, I feel like I was still on WoW. So
when Wildstar came out, there was a lot of graphic glitches I was experiencing, like where textures were just clipping really bad, or some textures wouldn't even load. And it felt like a sci-fi WoW with textures that just didn't work half the time.
Oh yeah. So,
but Rift was really fun though.
Okay, I never played Rift either. I missed out on
that game. Dude, Rift was the way their classes work is kind of comparable to Ashes, because it was kind of like between Ashes and WoW, because in WoW you had your 3 talent trees.
Okay.
But you couldn't pick different talent trees, like you had the 3. With Rift, you could change out one of your talent trees for a different one. So you had, I can't remember how many talent trees each class had, so let's just say like 9, and you're allowed to equip 3 at a time. So then you have all of those combinations between the 9, and you can make, like my rogue, I made a tank spec. So I had a Rift Stalker tank where it was like evasion tanking basically.
That's cool.
And that was a lot of fun in PvP. That was so much fun. A tank rogue.
Wow.
And the other was there was a saboteur that I had spec'd out too. And the saboteur was like a rogue mixed with an engineer. So you had like grenades and bombs it would use. And
nice. Okay.
Now the trick with the saboteur, and comparing them to the rogue in WoW, you still had combo points. You had 5 combo points, just like rogues in WoW. But there was one bomb that you could charge up. You could place on a person and then charge it. And as you're charging it, you're getting a combo point. 5 charges, they're holding that C4 on them with 5 charges, 5 combo points, and then you blow it, they would die. It was a one-hit kill. And you could do the whole thing in stealth. And at a range. Yeah.
That's
nuts. Once you had to be in range to put the bomb on them, and then you could get out of range, like away from them, in stealth. All of this in stealth, and just charge it up, 5 combo points, dead.
Wow.
So saboteurs, like
nuts.
it was way OP. Like I could solo bosses as a saboteur. That got nerfed so quick.
I'm sure
they nerfed it, and they made it so I believe they made it so that when you used your charge and got a combo point, it would break your stealth. I think that was their nerf.
Well,
Yeah.
so you've played a lot of MMOs. You've done a lot of different combat styles. In your opinion, what style would you want Ashes to solidify on? If you had to pick out of all the different varieties of combat you've experienced.
My first thought was Terra. Terra was a lot of fun, and that was action combat hybrid where the first person camera actually worked.
Okay.
But I don't really care to fight in first person. So if I take away that, if we say we don't want to fight in first person with action cam, then I would have to say Guild Wars 2 combat is the best, hands down, that I enjoy. I mean, that's subjective to opinion. Some people say Guild Wars 2 combat is too floaty, but I like it. Like, I feel like there is weight behind it. And playing a thief, I'm a very mobile class. I have a lot of shadow steps, like where in World of Warcraft you only had one, and you could build it into your spec to shadow step on ambush, but that was just one more, and there was a cooldown on those. Now in Guild Wars 2, with my short bow, I have an ability, I can do 3 shadow steps in a row until my energy fills back up. I can do 3 more, and that's it's a ground targeted shadow step too, so I can shadow step where I want. And then I can look at it like a bridge, and I can shadow step through the floor of the bridge and get up, like get verticality with it. Like, so the mobility of that, like, I'm just sold with that class right there. I love the mobility, and the combat is so fluid. Like, it just feels good. Like, that's why I did nothing but PvP for a year and a half, because I could log on, join a match, and go fight people within minutes. And that's what I enjoyed, was the combat of the game.
Okay. Dude, I'm probably gonna have to download Guild Wars 2, because with End of Dragons coming out, I mean, and honestly, like, I have so much time now. Like, I'm just playing Lost Ark right now, and I'm playing it super casually. But I mean, if I can play something else, especially for Ashes, right? Like, I want to see what Guild Wars 2 is about, especially because I've never played it before. Yeah. And everyone always compares the combat of Guild Wars 2 to saying, oh, well, Ashes should just take Guild Wars 2's model.
They should.
But you say that there is an action version, but people don't use that. But yet they use the tab.
The action cam. Okay. Nobody uses the action cam. So
which is the reticle thing.
Yeah.
Because I saw that in Ashes in Alpha 1, where people can toggle with tab, right? You hit tab and it goes to the action cam.
Yep. But it's so hard to use. Like,
yeah.
Even in Ashes, I didn't like it.
I'm not a fan. I see it in New World as well, because I predominantly play range classes, so Hunter, Warlock, Mage. But
I'm trying to think. I feel like ESO had kind of like a hybrid as well.
I thought it was just action. I could be wrong. I've never played ESO, but the combat looks
I played it to max level, but it's been a couple of years since I played it, so it's hard to remember. But I felt like there was tab targeting as well, but I felt like it was a hybrid, but it was like way more focused on the action side of it. Like, you had to be pointed in the right direction. You had to have them in your sights and be in range and all of that.
Yeah. I want to play Guild Wars 2 just for my own sake, just so I can see, okay, this is because I want fluidity. I want when you push a rotation, it feels instantly. You feel the weight, you feel the noise. The one thing I love about Lost Ark is the weight and the noises that the abilities make are so good. Mm-hmm. So good. The crunch, the sound effects when you do something. It's
Guild Wars 2 is the same, man. Like, seriously, there are abilities that from the beta for the Spectre that I was playing for the End of Dragons, there are abilities I was using, like he drops down wells, and there's like these shadowy figures that come up from the ground, and they're very haunting, and the audio you get from it is like you hear like souls that are like just like haunting you and like the shadows. It's just creepy as hell, man. I love it. Like, the audio is spot on with that. And well, there's one ability where it's like one you spam to heal, and it's so fucking loud. Like, people were saying, stop healing me, because it was so loud. Just it was obnoxious.
It was like that one ability in Alpha 1 where that stupid crest, it was like super flashy animation.
Yeah.
It was like, stop blinding me. Like, I remember that thing happening all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, God. But okay.
But no, you should try Guild Wars 2 out for real, man. It's a very casual friendly game. So like I said, you can download it for free. You can play the base game for free. Get a feel for it. I think it will not cost you anything to just try it. And if you decide you like it, it's $30 to buy Path of Fire, and then you get all the previous content with it.
Interesting. Okay, so you buy the let me just rephrase this. If when End of Dragons comes out, if I buy End of Dragons, do I get all the content before that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Except I don't know. I think you do have to go in and buy the different patches. So like in Final Fantasy 14, you have your main story with the release of the expansion, and then after that they have the patches that like give you a little more story, like different chapters.
Okay.
And in Guild Wars 2, you have to pay for those, but you can earn gold in game, convert the gold to gems, and then use that to buy those. So you can actually do that for free too. So
interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, just to have the free experience, does the free experience go from 1 to 50, or what's the level?
Yeah, it's max level. So, oh God, I haven't been on Guild Wars 2 in a while. 80?
Oh, okay. So you can literally go from 1 to 80 for free?
Yeah, you can get all the max level to 8. Yeah, for free.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
but like I said, there are limitations on the free account. I don't know what like the trading post or auction house limitations are or trading or anything like that, but
I'm sure there's limitations. It's to be expected, but maybe I could just hop on your server and you can help me.
Sounds good, man. You could be on any server. It's all cross server and everything. So
it's all cross server now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. As long as you're on a US server, we could team up. You don't need to be on the same server.
Okay. Well, I guess to wrap up this whole conversation, the one question I usually ask towards the end of these is, why do you believe in Ashes? Like, why do you feel like this game is going to succeed?
We briefly covered it already, kind of.
Okay.
Stephen Sharif.
Right?
That's my answer. I mean, every interview and every live stream they do, every time I see that man talk about this game, that twinkle he gets in his eyes, that passion that he shares, he's not trying to sell some bullshit. He's not trying to get money from us. He's not trying to line the pockets of a AAA studio or anything. He doesn't care about shareholders. He just wants to make a good game that we can all play together. Like that. And just when he speaks, that he genuinely wants to create the best next gen MMO. And I truly believe him, because like I said, he's not making this game just to make money. He's making the game for us and for himself to play and experience a great MMO.
I mean, like I said, I 100% agree with you. I think when I heard him talk, and he was like saying the F word but he wasn't saying it to be like all cool and hip. It was so natural. Like you can just tell that's
he's a real person.
Yeah. Like he was just a real dude, and but he wasn't like, because sometimes people like oversell it, right? Like, he was not overly cussing or anything like that. He just said that occasional F-bomb to provide that emphasis, and it was just like, it was like, okay, like, oh, you want to go ahead and cuss, but it was, he wasn't trying to be so formal, because he is a gamer first, and he always says that. He goes, I may be a developer now, right? Because he's like, but really, like, I come from, like, I'm a gamer first. Like, I want this game for me. I'm putting my money into this game because I want to play a game that I want to fall in love with again, not to be, just bombarded with bullshit and paywalls and microtransactions. And
the microtransaction thing, I love the story he tells about when he wanted to buy this mount.
The bear?
Yeah. I love that story. I can't remember how much he said he spent. I thought it was like
$700.
700? Yeah, it was in the hundreds, like, just to get that mount. And then they release it so you could just buy it outright.
Yeah.
Like 2 months later.
Like, it was like 2 weeks later.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's even worse.
It's like, oh my god, like I would have lost my shit.
Like, okay, so like with Overwatch, I was playing that, and there was a skin that I really wanted from like the Halloween chest or something, and I was like, all right, I wasn't even playing. I just came back to the game, and then the Halloween event started, and I'm like, I gotta play to get this skin. I don't even remember which one it was, but I played so many hours for the Halloween shit, and it was like the final day, and I still hadn't got it. I spent $67 or something like that to get that skin.
No, Ludo.
And I'm like,
no.
And then
the company won. Then, like, that's the whole point. Like, the company wins when you do that.
But that's the only way to get it.
I know.
And then with Guild Wars 2, I did the same damn thing because there was on their gem store. They have a lot of really cool skins on the gem store that, yeah, you could go out and earn gold and then convert the gold to the gems to then buy that skin for no cost to you.
Yeah.
But I had just made my legendary armor, so I didn't have any gold. So I'm like, I got to use real money. But then it was to buy keys to open these chests that are like loot boxes that will give you a random item, whatever it happens to be, that package for that month. And there was a staff that I wanted, this battle staff. I'm like, I've got to get that thing. It's so cool looking. So I spent $30. I'm like, I'm not going to spend more than $30 trying to get this. And I did it all on stream. And I opened $30 of chests on stream, and I didn't get anything. And usually you'll get enough stuff to like make some gold off of it.
Yeah.
I think I made like 20 gold, which was way under what I should have gotten for $30. And I'm like, well, damn it. Well, that sucks. And then it was like 3 days later, and someone in my stream donated $30 for me to try again. I'm like, oh my God. So I spent $60 and I never got it. Yeah.
It's like, you know, it reminds me of like a Storage Wars or whatever, right? Like you're bidding on these things and you have no idea what's inside.
You know what you want to be in there, but you have no guarantee.
It's so stupid.
I hate that. I hate that so much.
And just before we get off, I just want to make a thing because I'm all about transmog stuff being in a shop. I feel like I would rather have that than microtransactions for stupid, you know, predatory practices, right? All I want is for Steven to keep his word that there's better stuff in the game than that's in the cash shop. That's all I want. Just keep
not only that, I would even take it beyond that and make it so that nothing in the cash shop is better than what's in game. Which again, that can be subjective to opinion because you might like something in the cash shop more than in the game.
Correct.
But that being said, everything in the cash shop should be able to be found in game and earned.
I would not mind that either, to be totally honest with you. Or here's the other thing, and I think they should go the route once the game launches. I think Intrepid should completely change their monetization model for transmog and only put casual transmog. I'm talking t-shirts, shorts, sandals, sunglasses, stuff that is not what endgame people want. You know, put cutesy stuff in there for casual people, the people that actually buy the stuff from the cash shop. Like Final Fantasy does it so well. They put tuxedos or like, you know, just you know, sometimes they'll put like a casual wear, you know, all that stuff. Like that's what Intrepid should do. Because the people that want like the plate armor of badass or, you know, whatever.
But I mean, that being said, like are you talking like purchasing and then transmogging it? Or like, what if I have this really awesome piece of gear I earned, but I think it's more ugly than what I currently have on? I would like the ability to keep my current appearance and just apply it to the things that I'm earning that are technically stat better.
Oh, yeah. Like, so I always put everything in transmog. So like whenever you earn the category piece, it just goes into your catalog and you can choose to transmog it anytime you want after that, like once you own it, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
But you don't have to.
Yeah, that's what I would hope for too, because there's a lot of times where it's like, well, I don't want to equip that because I'm vain. So I'm not going to equip that because I want my character to look cool. Or I'll equip it just while I'm doing battle. And then when I go back to town, I'll take it off, put on my old shit, you know?
Exactly. I don't know. I feel like there are ways to do a transmog shop, but I feel like, again, the people that are the diehard people that want like really epic looking gear, just don't put that in the cash shop. Put very casual stuff in there, stuff that you wouldn't think an end game raider would like. You know what I'm saying? Right. But a person who's a girl who maybe you want to put like a pajama set that all has cat heads on it, you know, super casual.
Dude,
know,
I'd buy that shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's not, you're not competing for transmog appearance when it comes to high end rating or high end kind of rewards.
And you know, there's guys that would like purposely transmog their badass armor into cat PJs.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Like,
for sure.
I would totally do that to throw people off in PvP, like open world PvP. They wouldn't know what gear I have on. I would just be in cat PJs and then come gank you.
But it's like in Final Fantasy 14, you could literally dress up as a frog.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's like,
I have actually. I have that for my Dragoon.
That's what I'm saying.
I made a frog suit because the Dragoons are all jumpy, right?
So just do that. Like, I don't know.
Right.
But honestly, Luto, it was such a pleasure talking with you, man. It was so good. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Like, it was great.
It felt like 30 minutes and it was 2 hours. So
almost 2 hours. Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy. And I'm a Central
like
guy too, but nice. No, man, it was a pleasure. And like I said, just to let you know, where can people find you? Like YouTube, Twitter, Twitch?
All three. Perfect. All Luto Locke.
Just at Luto Locke, or just type in Luto Locke?
All right. Luto Locke. But yeah, I will say this. YouTube has kind of died down for me in the last 6 months, but I will be picking it up again. I've been working on a lot of things in the background. I'm bringing animation into my YouTube stuff, so.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I'll tell you more later.
Okay, sounds good.
But yeah.
Well, again, dude, it was a pleasure, man. Thank you.
Yep, that was fun.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much. If you like this 1v1, then hit that like button. Subscribe to my content if you like it. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Night.